So I'm sure you've all caught yourselves humming a song that you either learned yesterday or about 10 years ago. So the question is, why do these songs get stuck in our heads, and why is it difficult to get them out? According to David Silverzweig, a professor of psychiatry at Harvard, 90% of people have experienced the earworm or a musical itch, and about 1/3 of them find this annoying. I don't know about you guys, I love music, but I get really irritated if there's a certain song I can't get out of my head, especially one that I know is catchy but kind of sucks. So today I'm going to discuss the science behind the sticky quality of songs and why music holds an important neurological effect in the development of our brains. In order to do that, we're going to dive into the specific musical effects that lodge in our heads, analyze the connections between those effects and the brain, and we're going to wrap it up by acknowledging the universal nature of music and why it is important to us as a species. So first, let's explore why certain sections of music create a loop in our heads. According to the Harvard Gazette, there are certain characteristics in songs that make them more likely to become an earworm. Repetition, longer duration of notes, and smaller intervals between the notes. So I'm going to provide you with an example. If anyone knows the song Hollow by Pantera, fantastic song if you don't know it, but there is a guitar riff at the very beginning that is absolutely excellent. And if anyone has listened to it, you know that the duration of those notes is pretty long, and then they go up in scale, and then they hold again, and then they hold again. And that riff has been stuck in my head for about 45 minutes because of how long it has been. So like certain things like that are more likely to get stuck in your head. University of Cincinnati's Stephen Gordon notes that songs get stuck when associated with a particular memory or emotion. So I'm sure you can all recall to mind maybe at a high school prom, a certain song that played that you danced along with your friends to, or if you were doing an assignment, maybe you were listening to like movie soundtracks like I do, and then you're going to be able to have greater recall when that memory is associated with a song. There's another term for this called INMI. It's called involuntary musical imagery, and Dr. Kia Rai Pruitt says this is like the perfect acronym to describe what goes on, because our brain has very limited control on what it chooses to display. So even if you're not thinking about anything at the time, if you have that song stuck in your head, it's just the brain telling you, hey, listen to this again because I'm telling you to. So that's the basics of what INMI is. So now that we understand what the earworm is, let's talk about how the brain is going to respond to it. So there's an implication of a phonological loop, and this is basically a mental scratch pad in the brain. Your mind is going to hold on to something for a certain number of seconds. That's just all that means. When this happens, your brain is activated in the auditory cortex, which is connected to the temporal lobe, and this piece supports musical perception. This piece is also connected to the hippocampus, which is important for memory encoding and retrieval. We have also scientifically seen visible connections between the amygdala and the ventral striatum. So the amygdala is in the back of your head. It is responsible for emotion, and then the ventral striatum is responsible for positive reward. So if your brain likes what it's hearing, if you hear a really catchy song and you're in the mood and you're vibing, your brain's going to reward you by playing that over and over because of that rush of adrenaline or dopamine. So now that we understand how the brain responds to an earworm, let's explore the universal nature of music and why it's important to our evolution. Frontiers in Neuroscience says that we were more than likely singing to each other before speaking in full sentences, which I just thought was really cool. But music has a way of connecting us all as people universally without language. So music is entrenched in our very evolutionary development. And again, we are scientifically able to hold on to things longer with an emotional connection to music. So if you were, say, a citizen in a town square back in like the 1600s and you were listening to this like big speech, okay, and there was like a violin quartet playing in the back, you're more than likely to remember those certain parts of the speech, recall everything they were saying because there was music playing in the background. And you'll remember the strings and you'll think, oh yeah, he was talking about this. So I just thought that was kind of cool to mention. So now hopefully you understand why music is like so deeply rooted in us. It has expanded our cognitive abilities and helped us to develop our memorization skills. So to sum up, I've talked about why music gets stuck in our heads and how the brain is going to respond to those earworms, and why music is important to our evolution and how it has stayed with us throughout all of time. To quote Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, music is a universal language of mankind. So next time you have a song that's stuck in your head and you're a little irritated by it, just remember it's your brain reminding you of what it's capable of. Thank you.